First of all, Perek Lamed Hey Pasuk Chav Beis. So very interesting halachic concept that is you're gonna see. What page? 518. Okay, so it says like this: the people are starting to donate, and the Torah says it's about 12 foot 13 lines from the top. Pasuk Chav Beis 518. Vayavo ha'anashim al hanashim. The men came along. Now the word al can mean with the women, and it can mean above the women. Kol nadiv liv, every generous-hearted person. Heviu chach v'nezem v'tabas v'chumaz. These are all sorts of ornaments. Kol kli zahav, all gold utensils. V'chol ish asher henif tunuvas zahav la'Hashem. How does he translate henif? And any man who raised up an offering of gold. So they brought all sorts of chach v'nezem. A nezem is a what do you call it? A nezem is an earring. What does he call a chach? Bracelets, nose rings, body ornaments. What do you call it? All sorts of, what do you call it? Ice? What do you call it nowadays? Ice? Right? We used to call it bling, right? Bling, or bling, bling, bling. You know, they all sorts of what do you call it? They brought for. Is that what it's called today? Ice? Iced out. He's iced out means you got a lot of your decked out with diamonds. You're iced out. Why talk normally if we could talk in code, right? Yeah, right. Different language nowadays. So then it says the ben came along, al hanashim, along with the women. Now this goes in both directions. First of all, why do the men need to accompany the women? Why do the women need to accompany the men? It goes in both directions over here. So it could be that the women wanted to accompany the men because the last time the men got involved in donating gold, things went wrong. And sometimes that happens where the wife says, "You're not buying it unless I come with you," right? Because the last time, if the men would pick it out, the husband goes, the wife says, "Okay, I want you to pick out a nice picture for the living room," or pick out some where to go. And then the husband comes home and the wife says, "We're going right back there," and we're picking out so that she just doesn't. You blew it, right? Sometimes parents have to do that with kids. You send your son to buy a suit, and he comes back with looks like something out of a what do you call it? So he comes back, leather is not a suit. Let's go. We're going right back there, kid. And we're gonna pick it out together. We're gonna shop together. That's one of it. Do me a favor, close that window over there for the time being. Thank you.
That one's open also.
So maybe we can leave that open. It close this one. I'm getting a draft over here. Don't put on the what do you call it? Don't put on the heat. Just get that. Thank you. So one idea is that the women need the men. They want to come along with the men. They just don't trust them. Which is understandable. Number one. Number two, there's an interesting halachic concept here. When you collect charity, let's say a guy goes collecting tzedakah, are you allowed to take a donation from a woman? And the halacha is you can take a token donation. If a woman gives a large donation, you're not allowed to take it because she has to have her husband's approval, and you don't know that she does. Why is that? Because halachically, what a woman owns is owned by the husband. There's a logic there. The logic is that who's the burden of support on? The husband has to support the wife. So, what's that?
Not anymore.
Yes, no, by halacha, the husband has to support the wife. Women may voluntarily work because they want their husbands to study Torah. I mean, you can't do both. But I told you, the day if a woman does work to support her husband in studying Torah, the day she comes home and says, "I quit my job," the day she comes home and quit, he's got no halachic recourse. He has to say, "Thank you for doing what you've done up until now." A man who quits his job, back in the time where there was corporal punishment, he could be flogged. You're derelict in your duties. You're supposed to be supporting your wife. So the halacha says. So there are commentaries that say that's what happened over here. Women want to give donations to the Beis Hamikdash over here. The men had to come along to show their approval. Otherwise, the guys receiving the donations can't take it.
If she's single, is there a problem?
If she's single, it's not a problem. If as long as if she's a single adult, then she owns it. What do you call it? Once she's married, then there's an exchange. The husband has to support her. So in exchange for the husband's support, there's a rabbinic law. In exchange for husband support, the husband gets what the wife earns. Otherwise, it's not fair. Otherwise, what the concern was that it could lead to marital strife, where the husband as well. What's going on here? I got to support you, and you're working and supporting yourself. That's not fair. So the Meforshim say over here that the men had to be there because they did everything according to halacha. Remember, there's a principle that they were living according to halacha, certainly after the Torah was given, and even before the Torah was given. That Avram Avinu, it says, Avram Avinu, the Avos and the Shvatim, they even kept rabbinic law. The Gemara says Avram Avinu generated, internally he intuited what the Torah would want later on. He intuited it. He realized that the best way to possibly live is by putting on tefillin and by keeping Shabbos and so on and so forth. So here, certainly the Torah, after the Torah was given, they're keeping law. So the halacha, there's and even rabbinic law. So a woman's you're not allowed to accept a donation except a token donation. If a guy goes collecting at the door, whatever token, I don't know, nowadays I don't know what a token, 5 shekels, 10 shekels. But if a woman also writes out a check for 20,000 shekels, you're not allowed to accept it because it lets you know for a fact that her husband approves it. That's a halacha. So number one, the what do you call it? So the men had to be there. The men had to be there. Number one. Now there's another opinion. A husband is allowed to give away whatever he wants, except for one thing: he can't give away his wife's ornaments. And therefore, the women had to be there. The women had to be there in order to approve the husband giving away their earrings. Hey, Shlomi, where are you going with my necklace? She has to say, husband can't go away, being generous and his wife, and therefore they're both needed. Number one. Number two, the women. There's an opinion. If you look at Onkelos over here, take a look at Onkelos. Called the Israel Libe Isiu Shir. No, it's not Onkelos. It's Targum Yonasan. The Targum Yonasan, I think, it says that the women wore their earrings to the place of the donation. They actually wore their earrings all the way there. Why would they do that? The women wore their earrings and then only took them off when they got to whoever was collecting the goods. Why?
Show that they're taking it off and giving it to the...
Why? Why would they do that?
So it's not the merit of the man, it's their merit.
What?
It's not the merit of the man, it's their merit.
It's their merit. Okay, the husband would still have to approve. Why would you say, show what?
How much they're actually giving, they're ready to take it off themselves.
Correct. And the women want to show that this isn't extra stuff that I have. It's not extra jewelry that I have. This is stuff that I wear. And I want to show you that donating to the Mishkan, to me, is more beloved than actually wearing my jewelry. Donating to the Mishkan is what he called. That's a priority. Therefore, the Targum says that the women actually wore it all the way there. Okay, now, take a look at Pasuk Chav Zayin. Pasuk Chav Zayin. 6 lines from the bottom. V'hanesiim, the princes, heviu es avnei hashoham, v'es avnei hamiluim. The avnei hashoham were the gems that went on the Kohen Gadol's shoulders. V'es avnei hamiluim, the stones that went on the chest plate. La'ephod v'lachoshen. Now, Rashi points out over here, look at that word nesiim. Look at the word nesiim. The word nesiim is missing a yud. There should be a yud. Normally there would be a yud between the aleph and the mem on the word nesiim. 6 lines from the bottom. There would be a yud missing there. Take a look at Rashi. Pasuk Yud Zayin. It's, where's the Rashi? It's 4 lines from the top, 5 lines from the top. No, and where am I? I'm way off. It's the left column. Sorry, left column, 5 lines from the bottom. V'hanesiim heviu. If you find it, show the person next. Please show the person next to you. V'hanesiim heviu, says Rashi. Amar Rabbi Noson. Ma ro nesiim lehisnadev b'chanukas hamizbeach batchila. Why was it that when they inaugurated the Mizbeach, later on in Parshas Noso, why when they inaugurated did the nesiim give first? Ubemaleches hamishkan, yet over here where they're donating for the Mishkan, Lo hisnadvu batchila. They did not donate first. They donated all the way at the end. What happened to the Nesiim? Elakach amru Nesiim. The Nesiim said, Yisnadvu tzibur mashem yisnadvin. Let the community at large, let them donate. Umashem echasrim, whatever they're lacking, anu mashliminosa. We'll make up whatever the shortfall is. So they're waiting for everybody else to go ahead. Kevan sheishlivu tzibur es hakol. When everybody, the community gave basically everything, we'll see that they donated a tremendous amount. There was nothing missing. Shenemar v'amlacha haisadayim amru nesiyim ma'aleinu lasos. What should we do? Oi, we almost missed the boat over here. That wasn't how it was supposed to happen. So heviu es avnei hashoam. They brought the gemstones. Says Rashi on the next page. Ulefi nis'atzlu mitchila. Because they were lazy at first, we'll see what that means. Nechsera os mishmam, a letter was missing from their name. Ve'hanesiim ksiv, it says hanesiim without the yud. They were penalized. A yud was taken away from their name. Why? Because they had Rashi calls it a lackadaisical attitude. Now, Rashi first said they had a reason they did it. What were they doing? It seems like they had very, very, very noble intentions over here. Let's see everybody bring whatever's missing, we'll fill in. That's wonderful. That's terrific. And yet, Rashi, what does it call it? There was a certain laziness over here. There was that means several things here. First of all, so they're punished. They're missing a yud. What is that? I mean, how significant is that? Would you be upset if they left out a vowel from your name? Is it? Okay. So there's no yud. We'll so let's go to lunch. We'll be okay. So there's no yud. No, it doesn't work that way. You see that even Avram Avinu had a letter added to his name that was apparently significant. And Sarah Imenu had a hey. She was upgraded. She had a hey put onto her name instead of a yud. And Yoshua, his name was Hoshea, and a yud was added to his name. The answer is that we don't relate to this but we're talking about eternal. And for eternity, there's missing a yud in the Nesiim's name in the Torah. There's something eternal. There's something at a level that we can't comprehend. Something's happening. Why are they punished? And why are they punished with a yud? Says Rashi, they got lazy. They weren't lazy. They didn't say they were lazy. They said, let's see what everybody else does. The answer is that in life, often, almost always, if there's something that you're not doing when you're supposed to be doing it, underlying it at some level, there's a level of laziness. There's some level of laziness. The Mesilas Yesharim, the path of the just, I think that's how they translate it, says that when you don't do something that you should do, there's always like this idea, no, I'll do it tomorrow. Our motto in high school was, don't do today what you could put off till tomorrow. That was our motto, right? That's coming from laziness. Because when it's really important to you, you're not lazy at all. When something's really important to you, if you knew you were going to the amusement park tomorrow morning, you'd be up at 7 o'clock. You got to go to shul. I'm a little tired this morning. You're tired or you're lazy, right? You got to identify it. I heard a magnificent story. There was a certain Rav of a community somewhere in Europe, and there was another rabbi coming to town. But this rabbi coming to town had certain views which were considered not exactly acceptable to the Torah community. So the main Rav of the town, under normal circumstances, would go to the train station to greet him. But he felt, I don't want to show him that level of respect because it'll mislead people. People will think he's somebody he's got dangerous views, he's very subtle, dangerous views. I don't want to give him that level of respect because I don't want him to have that influence. If people see that I'm respecting him at that level, then he'll be very influential. And it's a danger, and for the good of the community, I can't do that. So he said, I'm not going to go to the train station to greet him. Then he thought to himself, now what's the real truth? Why won't I go to the train station? Is it because I'm concerned about his views? Or is it because I don't feel like trudging out in Poland in winter with snow? I don't want to trudge out to the train. What's the real underlying motivation? So you know what he did? He went to the train station. And at the train station, he decided, once he decided, you know what? I shouldn't greet him. And he got in his horse and wagon and went back home. Then it's a balance, it's a rational decision. The other way, you can't be sure. And sometimes in life, sometimes should I go visit somebody sick? Should I visit him? Nah, he's okay. I don't need to visit. He doesn't even care if I come or not. You know what? Go to his house first, and at the front door, then make the decision. Then you'll decide. Then you'll know why you're not going. You're not going because you're lazy. You're not going because and underlying and there could be a lot of great. By the way, what that means is if you ever get an idea in life, act on it. Act on it right away. If it's a good idea, act on it. For example, you have an idea for a shidduch for somebody. You want to suggest somebody a shidduch. You have an idea. Pick up a phone and make a call. Pick up the phone. Get busy. The Nesiim are taken to task because they should have led the charge. They're the leaders of the people. Jews donating. We don't know how this is going to work out. And you're talking about and all of a sudden everybody, they assumed, I'm sure there's going to be a shortfall here. We are talking about Jews. Jews giving up gold, silver, and money. There's going to be a short, and also next thing you know, there's a rush. It looks like shul letting out and everybody going to the kiddush. That's what it looked like. Everybody is charging to give the, what do you call it? You ever been at a sweet table at a wedding? You know what a sweet table is? You don't know what a sweet table is at a wedding? Right after they finish the main course, they bring out what's called a sweet table. Costs an arm and a leg, with all these fancy little cakes and stuff. All right? Like every little piece over there is hand. What do you call it? Did you ever see the rush towards the sweet table? You don't know? You never been to the sweet table, Ollie? Never seen a sweet? Oh man!
Are you getting married?
Yeah. I remember my brother and I. What we used to do, we'd go to weddings. So we'd sit there and we'd let the first wave go, and there's just this mass of people at the sweet table, and then we wait for it to clear. Then we'd go over and just kind of take over after everybody cleared out. And you see people walking with plates; they're stacked up with plates, lining their arms with plates heaped high from the sweet table. So the Jews, everybody's rushing. So the plan they should have led the charge. These are the Nesiim. These are the leaders of the people. Where are you? So they're taking the task. Says Rashi, nisatzlu. Didn't look like laziness to me. Oh yes, it is. If you didn't do it, you got 1,000,001 excuses. Underlying it, you always have we, not you, we. It's easier to blame you guys than myself. But we always have to suspect that there's a certain laziness over here. That's what's underlying everything. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, when they collected for the golden calf, they also used jewelry that they took from their wives.
Correct.
So it's the same jewelry?
No, it's by the golden calf. There's an opinion they didn't get it from the wives. That was Aaron's plan. He said, get the jewelry from your wives. The wives wouldn't give it. That's why the next pasuk says they brought jewelry. It doesn't say they brought it from their wives. The wives resisted it. Here, the wives come along and they're at the head because the wives understand this is a good thing. This is a good cause. And therefore the wives lead it. The wives come with over here.
Because my second question, they collected money so quickly for the golden calf, and here they are punished for laziness.
Excellent. That's one of the commentaries says. You know what we're going to find over here? There's going to be an accountability. There's an inverse Yetzer Hara. That's why I told you, if you're ever eager to do something, if you're eager to do a mitzvah, ask yourself, is this really a mitzvah? If it's for some, people collect for all sorts of nonsense, everybody goes and pours money in. And all of a sudden, when it comes to collecting for the shul, it comes to collecting for a yeshiva, they don't need it. The rabbi's salary is too much as it is, and a bunch of ganuvim. There is something to it. Somebody's got something to say. For all sorts of nonsense that everybody goes, give to this, give to that, give to the other thing. And when you see when something is, if people are being overly generous, it can't be too good, because there's no Yetzer Hara. By the way, that's one of the reasons why. There's always a curiosity. If you ever see frum girls go to school, and they study Chumash and Nach, and they're always studying. The boys in yeshiva, it's a challenge. And they say, why can't the boys learn like the girls? My son and daughter once had a philosophical debate. My son was about 14 and a half. He was in his first year of yeshiva. My wife was in 8th grade. My daughter was in 8th grade. They had the great philosophical debate. Is it better to be a boy or a girl? Guess which side each one took, right? So at a certain point, my daughter said to my son, but it's so boring to be a boy. All you do is study all day. So my son gives a big smile and says, frankly, you do a lot more studying than I do. Which was true. Why is it the girls don't have the Yetzer Hara? Because they're not obligated to do it. They're not obligated to study Torah. Boys are obligated. Once you're obligated, you have a Yetzer Hara, pulling and mitigating in the other direction. That's always a challenge in life. Okay, now I want to show you one other thing. What is that word al? Look at that word al again. It says, again, Pasuk Chav Zayin. Oh, I skipped it. Go back. Where was it? What pasuk was that? The previous one that we did? Pasuk Chav Beis, 22. I skipped it. Very important. I can't believe I skipped it. Vayavo hanoshim al hanoshim. So I told you, al means with, and we have a halachic reasons why they came with them. But al could also mean above. The men came along above the women. What does that mean? What does it mean the men came along above the women? They were above. What does it mean? What were they riding in a double-decker bus or something? Like in England, the men are upstairs. What does it mean? So one of the Mepharshim says like this: who did the Avera at the golden calf? Did the women? No. That means the men at this point are Baalei Tshuva. They've done Tshuva. What does the Gemara say about Baalei Tshuva? Where Baalei Tshuva stand, even righteous tzaddikim can't stand. That means the men are at a higher level at this point. That's what the Mepharshim say. Because the men have become Baalei Tshuva. The men are doing Tshuva, and the Gemara says, there are two opinions in the Gemara. There's one opinion that Baalei Tshuva is a higher level, there's one opinion that righteous tzaddikim are. But there is an opinion. By the way, I think I mentioned to you, Rabbi Yosef Zecher Tzadik Livracha, when Rabbi Yosef spoke at Ohr Somayach, he came to the Israeli branch of Ohr Somayach. We used to have the Israelis used to be here in the upstairs on the third floor. Rabbi Yosef spoke here, and he said to now this is Rabbi Yosef who was an absolute walking encyclopedia. He knew Kol HaTorah Kula. I mean, Rabbi Yosef was ridiculously off the chart, not to be believed. If you read one of Rabbi, just his halachic responsa, and he wrote hundreds of halachic responsa, it would take you a good week to get through one halachic responsa looking up his sources. He was fluent in Sfarim that most of us have never even heard of. And he was fluent, he could quote it verbatim. Not only verbatim, word for word. And he could, what he called, that's I think there's a line in To Kill a Mockingbird where a guy says, I'm not ambidextrous, I could use both hands equally well. Yeah. So I think it was in To Kill a Mockingbird. So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef spoke here to the Israeli division of Ohr Somayach, and he said, it's an honor to be in the same room as you in this world, because in the next world, I'm not going to have that honor to be in the same room as you, right? So where Baalei Tshuva stand, nobody else stands. And therefore, even a righteous tzaddik can't stand. And therefore it says, the men came along above the women, because at this moment they're at a higher level. How do you like that? They're at a higher level because they became Baalei Tshuvas. Amazing thing, right? It's an amazing concept when you think about what a Baal Tshuva is. A Baal Tshuva pulled himself back. There's a lot to say for it. I want to tell you something. I was in second grade. Now we're talking about a long time ago. Talking about 17 years ago. I was in second grade. And I was in second grade. I was 7 years old. I was a good kid. And by my calculation, we had about 30, I was living in Israel, by my calculation, I was the fourth smartest kid in the class out of about 30 kids. And at the end of the year, they gave out awards. The first three kids, the three smartest kids got awards. I didn't get one. And then there was one more kid who got an award. He was the class terror. In the last month of the year, he behaved himself, and they gave him an award like the comeback player of the year. He got the comeback player of the year award. And I remember I was very upset when I went home. I said, this is not fair. I was a good kid all year. Why should this kid get an award for 1 month? And I was good all year. I was a troublemaker in those days. I was second grade. That's things that went downwards after that. But up until that point, I was good. And I remember being upset because this kid got an award. I felt it was not fair. Now, the truth of the matter is, I don't know. Because what he was able to do, I mean, this kid he would have been diagnosed today. They don't even have letters for this kid. ADHD, they'd run out of the alphabet. They'd have to create a new system for this kid. But we don't know. For him, in 1 month, what he tortured himself for 1 month, right, could have been harder than anything I did all year. So that's how Kosh Baruch Hu looks at a Baal Tshuva. We can't measure that. I got the difficulty, the challenge of a Baal Tshuva. And that's why it's Al HaNoshim. Okay, now, back to the Nesiim. One of the commentaries says here, take a look at that word again, 6 lines from the bottom. Vehanesiim means the clouds. Clouds are called Nesiim also. Where did they get the gems from? Where did the gems come from?
Egyptians.
So the gems for the stones, for the stone, what's that? Excellent. There's an opinion that they actually fell with the manna. How's that? You know, it's like Cracker Jacks. You know, toy surprise inside. You know, it's like opening a box of Cheerios where they have they used to have stuff inside. Probably somebody got sued. You know, somebody got choked or something. So they stopped it. Now you only get a coupon on the back of the box. But they used to have stuff inside the boxes. Right? That was always a fight. Who got it first? So the what do you call it? The mun came down, and the gemstones came down in the mun. The gemstones actually came down the mun. But where did they fall? They fell on the outskirts of the camp. Now listen to this. This is remarkable. When the mun fell, there were 3 levels of where the mun fell. For the least, for what the Medrash says, the not so righteous people, it fell all the way on the outskirts. They had to go walking out to collect the mun. You go all the way walking out a couple of kilometers to go get the mun. For the Beinonis, the average people, it fell closer to their doors. It fell closer to the homes. And for the tzaddikim, it fell right on the doorstep. How do you like that? You open your front door, and there's the mun, like bringing in the bottle of milk on the doorstep in England. You know, there it is. You open up the door, and there's the mun. But the mun that contained the gemstones was all the way out on the outskirts of the camp. The Nesiim had to walk to the outskirts of the camp. Now, what does it do? You know, when people... What's the point of making people to walk out, a kilometer for free food? We would do it. Not a big deal. You know, you walk further for a kiddush, right? If you know you'd walk a kilometer for a kiddush. What's the big deal? So you walk you walk a mile or two to go get some free food. You don't have to pay. It's all free. We would all do it. What's the big deal? The answer is it's embarrassing because it labels you. A guy goes walking out every morning and he's got to go collect the money. He goes, I see all that shaking during Shemona Esrei. You're not the tzaddik that you make yourself, because Hashem knows where it falls. And all of a sudden you got another guy who looks like a very ordinary person, and it falls right at his doorstep. Hey, Shaya, how'd you get this man right at your doorstep? Hey, this is a guy we should be getting a bracha from. This guy's obviously a tzaddik. The man didn't make mistakes. So the guy who's walking out there, you're walking pretty far. What, you had been talking some Lashon Hara lately? You can tell us. We're friends. You can share with us. Oh, everybody's walking out there to get the man. That's all we needed to see. This guy gets it right at the doorstep. Like, wow. The guys in the center program, it's all the way far away. The Mechina guys all got it right at the doorstep. Let's straighten things out over here. The Derech guys didn't get any. Okay, it's all what do you call? We got what do you call it over here? Because there's a little rating system over here. Where did the Nesiim have to go? They had to go all the way out to get the gemstones. That's embarrassing. They're willing. Why? Because nobody sees the Nesiim. You, the rabbis out there with the what do you call it? That could be embarrassing, because they were willing to embarrass themselves. They were honored with their own pasuk. They aren't included with everybody else. In other words, they got, on the one hand, they got a punishment. They're missing a yud. On the other hand, you get honored. You get what you deserve. Kodesh Baruch gives you exactly. You get your own pasuk. And therefore they're on, because they were willing to embarrass themselves. Do you know that it says by the daughters of Lot, right? Bit of a dodgy story, right? The older daughter, because she was less discreet, and she named her son Moav. What does Moav mean? From my father. It's pretty not discreet. Indiscreet, what's the word, indiscreet? Yeah. This child is from my father. Because of that, later on in history, the Jewish people treat the Moabite nation, the younger daughter named him Ammon, which is much more discreet. The Moabite nation, the Jewish people, are allowed to intimidate them. They can't intimidate Ammon. Why? Because she was indiscreet and she wasn't. On the other hand, the older daughter took the initiative. And it was a mitzvah. Haba ba'avera. There's something called, we'll explain that in a second. Since she took the initiative, her descendant joined the Jewish people 4 generations earlier than Ammon's descendant joined the Jewish people. That means in one action, on the one hand, you're going to get a reward because of what you did, but there's also something inappropriate for that. There are going to be consequences in one action. And therefore, it's considered what's called a mitzvah haba ba'avera. Mitzvah haba ba'avera means that sometimes in life you have to do something which is for the good of the team. You have to take one for the team, and your motivation is proper. Lot is taken to task for it. The Lot was just doing it out of a drunken stupor. Lot was like being at a frat party. That's how Lot saw it. And therefore, 2 people can be involved in the same action, and she's rewarded and he's criticized for it. But in the same action, she took the initiative first. The other one, and that's very similar to here. What did they have to do to see him? Almost identical. Look at what we're talking about. Here we're talking about incest, and here we're talking about donating for the Mishkan. Yet you have the same principle. You were late. You took the initiative. They should have taken whoever took the initiative is doing the right thing. On the other hand, you were a little lazier, so you got, there's a setback over there. On the other hand, you were indiscreet. I mean, it is pretty indiscreet. Let's face the facts. We call that's Papa's boy. That's what Moab means. So that's indiscreet. You're going to be taken to task for it. That means there's no such thing. You could, gentlemen, understand like this. You could do a tremendous mitzvah. Let's say you see a little old lady on the street. So you see a little old lady on the street, and you help her carry her bags, which is a very wonderful thing. It's a chesed. It's a kiddush Hashem. She sees what a yeshiva bacher is. And while you're walking along, you're doing a mitzvah. But the thought creeps into your mind that, I'm a pretty big tzaddik. I hope I find another 35 like myself in the generation. And we can bring the 36 Seddon Tzaddikim. We can bring. Does anybody in this room realize whose presence you're in? That thought, you're going to get kinds of accountability. You did an action, you get the action's a mitzvah. That means that Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't just say, okay, one cancels out the other. There's an accountability, a very precise accountability. Okay, let's go on. Let's see what else we got. Lamed Hey. Pasuk Lamed. So here are the Mefarshim say, top of page 520, top line. Here are the Mefarshim say like this. Vayomer Moshe el b'nei Yisrael, Re'u kara Hashem b'shem Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur lamata Yehuda. Look, Hashem has singled out Betzalel, the son of Uri, the son of Chur, from the tribe of Yehuda. Vayamale Yosa Ruach Elokim b'chochma v'suna v'dazu v'chol malacha. So Betzalel is a very talented young man. And the Mefarshim say like this, if you have a talent, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you a talent, and it's a proper talent, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give out gifts for free. If you were given an ability, that ability should be channeled to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So for one example that the Medrash says is if a person has a gift, let's say you have a good voice. Let's say you have a good voice. I don't know if any of you do, if any of you are chazanim, maybe you know how to sing well. If you have a good voice, you should be a chazan, and you should treat the community to on Yontif. On Yontif, you should go up there. Sometimes they sing and the chazan goes. Not too much. Nobody appreciates too much. The whole concept of chazanas in our generation is kind of a lost art. They used to be big chazanim. Nobody's got patience for chazanim anymore. Nowadays people want to daven. They're not interested in hearing the chazans, hearing the chazanim go. But a person should, what do you call it? A person should, if you've got an ability, let's say you've got administrative ability. So becoming an administrator for a yeshiva. Let's say you're good at organizing. You should help out the community in some administrative capacity. Let's say you're good at math. Let's say you're good at numbers. You could be a member of the tuition committee for the day school. You need somebody to make an accountability. Let's say you're good at what's it called? At fundraising. I got news for you guys. If you're a good fundraiser, you basically write your own ticket for any yeshiva, right? If you could raise funds, you got a lot of Jewish organizations need fundraisers. You could be right. Let's say you got a communication. Let's say you got teaching ability. Let's say you got let's say you building ability. Help them build the mikveh. Whatever you have, Whatever ability we learn from B'Tzalel, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives B'Tzalel the ability to go in, what do you call it? We're learning from this. If you give it an ability, use that ability, serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Now, take a look again in Pasuk Lamed Vav, Perik Lamed Vav, Pasuk Zayin. Shaya Lamed Vav Zayin. So the Torah says like this. Now we're talking about the Jewish people. Imagine any rabbi in a shul would be thrilled. So it's on page 520. And look what it says about more than half, Pasuk Vav. It's about 20 lines from the bottom. Everybody see that? Vayitzav Moshe. I mean, this is one of the most remarkable psukim in the Torah. They're all remarkable. We can't say one pasuk more. The concept is pretty remarkable. Vayitzav Moshe vayaviru kol b'machane lemor. Moshe sends out a voice, an announcement. Ish ve'isha al yasu od melocha litrumas hakodesh. No more for the donating for the Mishkan. Vayikalei ha'am mehavida. People stop bringing. It was enough. They brought enough material. They donated enough. Stop donating. Talk about science fiction. Stop donating. Okay. And now you have two. It seems like you have a contradiction here, because it says it was enough. The hoser, and it was even more. It says it's an internal contradiction in the pasuk. It was enough and there was extra. Well, make up your mind. It was enough or it was extra. It was enough and it was extra. Dayam, but you see where that is, Dylan? V'amalacha said dayam was enough. L'chola malacha lasososa. It was enough to do it, to do all the. They had enough material. V'hoser, there was extra. Now make up your mind. It was enough or it was extra. Here's the problem.
Extra is enough.
Extra is enough. If you have extra, so it's enough. But there was nothing left over. There was nothing left over. So there are several approaches here to reconcile this. One of them is that there was extra. There literally was extra. Why? There was some left over. There was more than enough. What does more than enough do? It stops every single person from thinking to himself, if not for my donation, right? You go, no, we had extra. Right? That blocks you off. Sometimes the person feels, well, if not for my donation, we would never have this Mishkan. And again, there's a little bit of self-importance there. Listen, we'd make it without you. We would have been okay. So it removes any potential for haughtiness, number one. Number two, who are you talking about over here? Now, the Mefarshim go to town over here. Who are the craftsmen who are building all this and doing everything? If you took a professional craftsman and you gave him materials, he knows exactly how much he needs. What happens with an amateur? I mean, when I just something as simple as baking in the kitchen. I've cooked and I've baked, and not in many years. I've cooked, baked and burned. I cooked, baked and burned. I have exercised my culinary talents. My wife says that I use so many different dishes, plates, and what do you call it, pots. When I was doing it, I got this pot, that pot, poured into here, poured into there. That's just the pots. But what happens is a lot of stuff gets, it didn't come out quite. A lot gets used more than necessary to make scrambled eggs. Right, more than necessary to make a pizza, a homemade, or whatever it is. I don't even remember what I did. I'm good. I'm a demon at corn patties in the microwave. Right, I make a nasty corn patty. But you're talking over here about try to bake a cake, and there's an awful lot of flour on it. These are people who are not skilled or trained craftsmen. They're not skilled or trained craftsmen, and yet there's no extra material. There was dayam. v'hoser. You'd expect to have some left over, or you expect to have a lot more than is needed. They managed to use it perfectly. There was nothing left over. It was dayim v'hoser. That it really should have been, now there are meforshim that say by natural law there was more than needed, but they managed to use everything. Miraculously, they used everything. But if you look at the what do you call it? Look at the next pasuk. Okay, this is really also a bigger miracle. Vayasu kol chacham leiv b'osei hamlocha es hamishkan eser yerios. They made 10. I forgot what he translates. Curtains. Sheish moser otches v'argomim v'tolashani kruvim masei choshev ososam. A very intricate needlework over here. Okay, they made very intricate needlework. And then, if you look on pasuk Yud Aleph, skip down 5 lines. Vayaz lulos techeles al svas hayoriya ha'echas. They made loops. Miksei b'mochboras kenas avisas hayoriya kutzona machretz hashenis. So over here, it's in the singular. In pasuk Ches, it's vayasu. Vayasu, they made. And in pasuk Yud Aleph, it's vayas in the singular. You're talking about a whole bunch of people getting involved in making these very, very intricate tapestries. Now, what would you expect to find? Just look at that painting on the wall. Look at that painting for a second. Imagine 3 of us got involved in trying to make a duplicate of that painting. What would you expect to see? I mean, assuming we're artists, assuming we're qualified artists, and we're going to go sit down now, and we're all going to paint on a bigger canvas. We're going to make an exact copy of that thing, but 3 of us are going to be working on it at the same time. What would you expect to see?
Same copy.
Mismatched.
Of course, you're going to see a different style. I don't care if it's Rembrandt and Van Gogh and that's the end of my who. Give me another name, guys. Give me another name. Yeah, the other one I know: Rembrandt, Van Gogh, and Goldstein. Give me a name. Give me a name. Monet. Oh, there you go. Rembrandt, Monet. Even if the 3 of them got together and painted, it's still not going to. Is it going to be each section is going to be beautiful, but they're not going to look alike. They're not going to look alike. They're not going to match. Each one's got his own style. So it comes along. The Torah is telling you this was a nace. You're talking about these massive, intricate tapestries. 1 second, they're going to make a paroches. Do you know how many threads were in the paroches? 24 times 72. 1,728, something like that. Yeah. Oh, you don't know that it's not. So you go and you go sit there, we calculate. You're talking about the miracle is with more people involved in making these tapestries, and they came out identical. The tapestries are identical. Everybody came out perfect, in spite of the fact that they have a lot of people doing it. 1 second. Then it says they start making loops. That's 4 lines to the bottom. They made 50 loops on each one of these curtains. Why is it in the singular? Vayas, they did it in the singular. There's a saying in the Gemara, a pot that belongs to partners, it's neither hot nor cold. I forgot in Lashon HaKodesh, how does it go in Lashon HaKodesh? Kidra de beishutfe lo chamim lo krira. A pot of partners, what does that mean? When you got a lot of people in a group, and something needs to get done. So often each individual says, oh, well, he'll probably do it. And then it just doesn't get done. Vayas lulos chelos. I mean, you got 50 loops over here, and a lot of people working. Let Israel go make some loops. Eli will make some loops. Ellen will make a couple loops over there. What I got to get involved in loops also? Vayas, everybody saw it as their own responsibility. Everybody took on responsibility. By the way, in life, if you're ever sitting at a table with a group of people, and you want to get some food, don't say, could somebody pass the chicken? It's not going to happen. Don't say, could somebody pass the chicken? Chances are you're not going to get it. Call a name. Shlomi, could you pass the chicken? Address somebody by name if you expect to get it done. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Because everybody, like, somebody passed the chicken. I'm busy right now. I'm busy passing chicken from my plate to my mouth. I'm not passing you the chicken. It's true. With kids in the house, it's certainly true. Could someone take the garbage? Teenager boys are sitting there. Yeah, I'm sure somebody could. That's their reaction. I'm sure somebody could. I'm sure somebody will. Yeah, no. Hey, you, Sydney, take the garbage, right? Yeah. Okay, that's okay. As long as the garbage goes, I don't care if you're unhappy. And mothers make that mistake all the time. Could somebody pick up the toys from the living room floor that the kids left out? Yeah, could somebody? Yeah, you're going to do it, Mom. You're somebody too. That's usually what's going to happen, right? Name the person. Make sure you name the person. And what do you call it? Teenagers have that habit also, by the way. Guys, could we start building the sukkah? Yeah. Now, a teenager say, yeah. And then they'll say to you, why do we need to do it now? Well, because Sukkot Yontif is starting in 20 minutes. That's why. And you guys said you were going to do it and you haven't done it yet. That's why. So we need a sukkah, okay? We only have 20 minutes left. Or getting them to take showers on Erev Shabbos. They got to wait until absolutely the last minute to start doing it. Why can't you do it a little earlier? Yeah, it's okay. It'll be okay. Relax. It'll be okay. So the Torah is teaching, right, Shia? Right? No, any similarities to real life are purely accurate. What do you go? That's what happens. I'm telling you, I've been there with the kid. And I learned with my kids. Name them. Name the kid. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And over here, Vayas, everybody gets involved. One more point, very quickly. Very quickly. Pasuk Lamed, Perik Lamed Zayin Pasuk Tes. You've heard of Reb Meir Shapiro, the Daf Yomi Reb Meir Shapiro? Because the world learns Daf Yomi now. Okay. Reb Meir Shapiro introduced the Daf Yomi idea, and I think it was 1923 at the Knessia Gedola, when the village, he had the backing of the Chafetz Chaim, and he introduced the Daf Yomi, which has taken, the whole world involved in Daf Yomi. Okay. So one of the commentaries said, look at what the Pasuk says by the Kruvim. We learned about the Kruvim in Pasuk, it's page 524, Pasuk Tes. It's about 17 lines from the top. Try me, boys. Boy, am I good. So it says, Vayu Kruvim porsei knafaim lemala. The Kruvim spread their wings upwards. Okay, now, what did these Kruvim look like? Remember we said what the Kruvim look like?
Little boys.
Little children are spreading their wings upwards. So Meir Shapiro Lublin said, what we learned from this pasuk, a beautiful thought. He says sometimes kids have grand dreams. You find your little frum kid says, he's 7 years old, he says, when I'm 11, I'm going to learn all of Shas. Like that, or I'm going to become the Gadol Ador, right? Kids talk like that. Reb Meir Shapiro said when he was a little kid, he was in a shul talking to a friend of his, and he was a little kid. He said he was about 7, 8 years old. He said, one day I'm going to introduce the Daf Yomi program to the entire world. He said this when he was a little kid. He said there was an crusty old guy in shul who overheard him. He said, come on, quit dreaming, kid. Just learn your Chumash and stop dreaming. And Reb Meir Shapiro said, imagine what would happen if that guy would have managed to discourage me. He says, parents have to know, never discourage kids from dreaming. Don't discourage. Kid has a dream, you don't have to discourage him. The kid will learn. If he gets discouraged, he'll learn later on in life. He'll get discouraged by himself. You don't have to discourage him. That's also a mistake mothers make, by the way. Sometimes a kid makes an announcement, a dramatic announcement. A 9-year-old kid says, when I'm 17, I'm going to get a motorcycle. A motorcycle, how dangerous it is. You can't get a motorcycle. They got, lady, there's a lot going to happen between now and the time you're 17. You don't have to worry about that. When I'm 19, I'm going to go parachuting. Are you serious? Dangerous. And the mothers go berserk. When my kid said to me, Daddy, I think I'm going to get a motorcycle. I said, really? What color? Oh, a green one. Oh, okay. Yeah, great. About tzlacha. Lots going to happen. Lots going to happen between now and then. You know, no, you have to go. You have to react. But especially when a kid has shows a dreams in Torah and in mitzvahs, that's right. Don't discourage him. Don't discourage. All you do is deflate the kid. Let the kid dream. At a certain point later on in life, you may have to help him to make adjustments if he's becoming discouraged. So you make him, but you don't have to worry about it when he's 9 years old. All right.